উনি আসলে এখন এখানে আপনি কি করবেন? ওয়েলকাম ম্যামটা দিবেন।
হুম।
তারপর ওনার নামটা বলতে হয় এখান থেকে বলতে পারবেন।
তোমার নাম রিতা। আচ্ছা, ওটা দিতে হবে, ওটা উঠবে না, একটা উঠবে না, এটা শেষ
উঠবে না,
হলে।
আমি তাইলে ইয়া করে দিই। আর কিছু আছে?
এবার ভিডিওটা শেষ হলেই হবো, তাই তাই না? বিষয়টা আমি মেসেজ দিচ্ছি।
আর কিছু আছে? ঠিক আছে? আমি উঠতেছি তাইলে। আর সেখানে ওয়েলকামটা করে দিন। চশমা মাছটা মুখে দিবেন না আপনি চাইবেন না?
কি চালাবো? এগুলা তুই হ্যাশট্যাগুলো চালাতে পারবো?
না, না সেগুলো না। ধরেন উনি আসলো, আপনাকে কি করতে হবে? ইয়া করতে হবে। আচ্ছা।
Good morning. Welcome to Institute of Global Professional Free Webinar. Thank you all for joining and stay with us till the end. My lovely audience, today I am your host for the morning. My name is Badhan Das. I am from Bangladesh. Dear audience, I am proud to be associated with IGP as a global member. I feel honored and privileged to host this webinar. It's my delight to welcome you all to our Institute of Global Professional free webinar. Thank you all for sharing us today in this marvelous morning, and it's my humble request and pleasure to all of you stay with us till the end. Institute of Global Professionals serve student and community resource, providing holistic social work, and education for create a complete generation. IGP is a leading online skill development institute with thousands of learners worldwide. Institute of Global Professional is an educational institute provides social work with global recognized. We organized our webinar training offline online courses by best and trained speaker coach from all the world. Our mission is to empower people. We have already completed 1056 webinars successfully. Let's introduce our speaker, Ma'am Dr. Rita Indravati. How are you, ma'am?
ऐड करना है, स्ट्रीम ऐड करना है.
Hello, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Hello. Yeah, can you hear
Hello.
my voice?
Yes, I am hearing you.
Okay, thank you.
How are you,
How are
ma'am?
you?
I'm
I'm
fine.
fine, thank you. Yeah,
Okay, ma'am. Please describe about yourself and then you can start your presentation.
yeah. Okay, how many minutes to present the material?
बुझने की वजह से हमने
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Okay, thank you, dear moderator. So now I would like to present. Sorry. Can you see the
Yes,
PPT?
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello. Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone. Good morning. Good afternoon. Good evening. Dear great participants, thank you for participation in this international webinar. I am as the resource person or the keynote speaker in this international webinar would like to introduce myself. I'm Rita Indrawati, a lecturer of English education study program at Faculty of Teacher Training and Education, South Sumatra, Indonesia. I'd like to say thank you to the IGP Institution Global Professional who has invited me to be the speaker in this prestigious international webinar. So here is my, so let me present this. So here is my biodata. I don't have to read for you, but at least you know that I'm a lecturer. So here is Indonesian archipelago. So I'm here in Sumatra Island. You can see here Sumatra Island in Palembang. And this one is Palembang City, and this is my university, Sriwijaya University in Palembang. So I am with my colleagues here in front of our logo, Sriwijaya University. And the next will be the titles of my presentation today is Literary Works for Humanizing People. So it is the title that I will share with you. How come literary works can humanize, can characterize people, at least our students? So let me tell you how literary works can be powerful to characterize, to humanize people, young generation, and also students, of course. Literary works are the products of literature. They are novel, fiction, legend, short story, poems, a film, drama. Well, story you read this week, last week, or last month, whether comedy, romance, horror, criminal, adventures. So I don't know whether you read one of these or another. So what for? We read stories. As I ask you here, what for? We read here. Okay. Um, a recent study reported that students read stories only to entertain themselves. So once you read a sad story, for example, do you think that you learn something from the story? Or do you get the moral values in it? So, the moral value of a story can be obtained consciously and unconsciously. So, here I have two different stories when a killer call and everything happens for good. So, which literary works? Yeah, I said before that literary works, one of the genre is novels. So, from these two literary works, would you like? So, which one do you want to read? Okay, number one. So, when a killer calls, or everything happens for good. So, it depends on you whether you would like to read number one or number two. So, once we read a story, think of the contributions of the story. Okay, so the contribution by reading the title, for example. So the title is When a Killer Calls. So the titles of the book. So do you think that book? So story number one will not contribute anything to the reader. What do you think? Because it is about criminal. How about story number two? Everything happens for good. Do you think that by reading the title, we know we will think that the story serve good things? We cannot judge from the cover, right? So, which one, which literary work contribute values? The story with antagonist characters or the story with um, protagonist characters? But most stories, most novels, most other literary works serve both protagonists as well as antagonists. And here is how about watching film or movie. What film do we watch this week, last week, last month? Comedy, the films about comedy, romance, genre, horror, criminal, or adventure. So, what did you learn from the film? Again, similar to reading novels, reading short stories. So, what do you think? What do you learn from reading? So, now what do you learn from watching the film, for example? For entertaining, for fun, for getting the lesson, or moral values? So, you know that whether you get the moral value in it or not, it depends on how deep you watch the film. Okay, so I would like to remind you that similar to reading stories, watching film also contributes something. Whether you get the moral values in it or not, it depends on you how deep you watch the film. Okay, now I have to film. Hopefully that I can play for you, even though it is not the full film, only the trailer, but at least you can see something from this. Okay, let me play for you. All my life, grinding all my life, hustle baby price. All my life, grinding all my life. They came from the water. They had superhuman strength. He's coming for the surface world. Show them who we are. When you think about your contribution to the Black Panther legacy, what do you? Okay, so it is the first film that you watch. Okay, so just remember what is it about. And the second film, I would like to share with you this other film. That is only the trailer also. I have to go home. I try and tell myself that she lived.
an amazing life.
My daughter died trying to save that horse, and I want my granddaughter to grow up thinking that she died for nothing. What's the deal with the babes? You keep 10 feet away at all times. Any part of you that crosses that line will be removed.
Problem is, Grandpa, he's never gonna forgive you. So happy you're going through all Mom's stuff, and you're making all these decisions about things that you're not even planning to stick around because somebody has to. I know that you blame me.
Okay, thank you for watching the film, these two films. So after watching, which film contribute values or a value? Okay, for the books that you read and films, watch, so which story contribute something? So which film from these two films contribute values? So you will say that one of the film will contribute something. So what you have to know that whether a film contribute moral values or not, it will depends on the stance you apply. Okay, so which story contribute values? You have read the book only at glance, and which film contribute values? So I said again that it depends on the stance one applies. So here is the two stances in responding literary works. So literary works refers to novel, story, film. So the two senses are afferent and aesthetic stance. So when students apply afferent stance, means that he or she just read or watch for fun, for entertaining, and only on the surface. However, if he or she, people, students focus or have the aesthetic stance, so they read in depth. They will watch the film in depth. It means that he or she applies aesthetic stance. So yeah, here is, I would like to introduce you to the pioneer. Yes, she is Louis Rosenblatt, a professor from America, that she has this reader response theory. So you can see here that afferent and aesthetic reading. So here there are two different sides. The first side is afferent and the second side is aesthetic. When you see here, when someone read because she or he needs to find out information in the text, or it means that he or she reads for information, for getting information. For reading literature or reading literary works, we need to connect the text, yeah, to our emotional. So aesthetic reading, it is reading in which the focus is on the feeling, sensation, and emotion evoked during the reader's transaction with the text. Sorry, Misty. Over there, the text, Misty. So once we read a novels, for example, so we have to evoke, we have to involve ourselves, our feeling, whether the story sad ending story or happy ending story. So we have to evoke our emotion. So it is aesthetic. Yeah. So transaction. There is a transaction between the text and the reader, as Rosenblatt said. And here is we have to go on applying aesthetic stance in reading and watching. Okay, reading, watching, or listening. So how come? Yeah, I would like to tell you some facts about the teachings of literature. So it is from some teachers in the world, yeah, not in Indonesia, in my country, but in the world, said that literature, no, I'll teach a language. They said because no time, no strategy, no contribution. They said, how come? Yeah, if we, I have told you before that we have two kinds of stance, afference and aesthetic. So if the teacher said that no contribution at all after reading short story, for example, after reading novels, after watching film, it, they said. And the other facts about literature teaching, short stories and poems are available in the student's textbook. Yes, sometimes in whatever textbook, yeah, in language, we can find short stories and poem. Yes, it is the fact. So far, most students find it boring. Why they bore? So far, teachers are reluctant to teach also. You know that? Not in Indonesia. I would like to emphasize that it is, this fact is not only in Indonesia, but also in the world. So far, most students find it boring to read, to learn literature. Why? You know that? They were exhausted to read various kinds of literary works and explore them monotonously. Monotonously. They just dug up the intrinsic and extrinsic values. Such exploration only sharpened their cognitive aspect. So they just find it out, the intrinsic value and extrinsic value, not other things. So they think that it is very monotonous. So they only sometimes after reading the short story or the narrative text in the textbook, they were asked by the teachers to memorize or to read, to answer some questions dealing with the contents of the story. So they said that the teacher taught them monotonously. And the next, you have to know the positions of literature in language education. It is from Moody in 1971 until now. You can see that the positions of language education, uh, I mean that you can see, sorry, the literature in language education, very small, tiny, dark, yeah, it is the position of literature in language education as illustrated by Moody. So you can see that how small the position, the portion of literature in language education. Therefore, they said that literature is not important to teach. And then there is the new paradigm. So, how is the old paradigm if we have the new paradigms of teaching the students literary works? You can see here the past versus now. The old paradigm and the new paradigm both reading literary works. Yes, we have to start with reading both old paradigm and new paradigm. However, the difference is in old paradigm, the students only identify the intrinsic aspect. But in new paradigm, the students explore the intrinsic aspects. Sorry. So it is the difference. It's not only to identify, but they explore. So it is the new paradigm. Okay. So the next will be, it is the old paradigm. You can see that the old paradigms of learning literature, we have who, okay, the setting, the theme, the character, and then the plot, and also where the story happened. So all paradigm, but still used until now. So it is structuralism approach. So it is how humanize, how humanize literature. It is different from other knowledge from other fields of study. So literature led the old paradigm also used in the new paradigm. Later, I will tell you how the structuralism approach of learning literature, of reading literary works, still be used until now in the new paradigm. So you can see that how literature, very humanism. And the other facts in America, because I got it from the book written by Alan Perf and friends in the book entitled How Porcupine Make Love Too. So it is the fact. Students had no interest in studying it. Even they hate the subject matter. And then you see what they said? You have murdered Hamlet and Macbeth. What more do you want? My blood? Said the student. Students were asked 23 questions on Macbeth in 15 minutes. Question like, what does this word mean? What does the next line mean? So this indicates that literature becomes a boring subject. So it is also the fact. So the new paradigm, you can see here, the books, the literary works, the novels, the very thick novels. By using the new paradigm, managing the literary works, we can develop the character of the student, the character of young generation, our young generation, because I hope that literary works, not only me who said that, but literature, lecturers or teachers think that because of previous studies, literary work, literary works can develop character, can develop the student's character, our young generation, by appreciating, by responding, managing the literary works. And the next, yeah, before we humanize other students, before we humanize other people, let's humanize ourselves first. Okay, I'll start from the theory of reader response. Because in order to humanize our student, in order to humanize people, I would like to tell you how literary works, after being read, can be appreciated, can be responded by using reader response strategy. So reader response strategy developed by Beach and Marshall in 1991. So you can see here that there are 7 strategies. The strategies with white color, describing, interpreting, conceiving, explaining, have something to do with cognitive domain, with our brain. And the other 3, connecting, engaging, and judging, have something to do with our affective domain, our heart. Okay, so it is reader response strategy. So by using reader response strategy, by applying reader response strategy, we try to build our students, other people, character. So here is the framework of character building in global context. So you can see here that from love God and all creatures, responsible and disciplined, justice and leadership, respect and polite, caring and empathy, confident, creative and hard work, tolerant, peaceful, unity, kind and humble, and honest. You know how hard, teachers, lecturers try to characterize the students' character like this. Yes, everybody in the world, everybody here who become the participants of this international webinar have these characters. I know that. But perhaps the portion is different from one another. For example, I have a very good empathy, for example, around 60%, and perhaps the other student, the other person will have more than me, 70% for empathy. But at least everybody have this character to be built. It is in the global context. Perhaps you have very good, you are very honest, for example, and the honesty of you is around 90%, but perhaps my honesty is only 50%. Yeah, so we have this character, but the difference is only the portion of every people will different. So when you see here, our brain, our hemisphere, so our brain have two part, the left and the right. You can see the left part of our brain. People are working very hard. They are workaholic, but on the right hand, you can see people with different kinds of activities. They playing kite, they sing, they are singing, they are talking one another, and many other activities you can see here. But it doesn't mean that we have to be here on the on the right brain, right hemisphere. No, but sometimes you are here. Our brain work very hard. But do not forget, after the work hard, we go to the right brain to sing, to reading Al Quran if you are a Muslim, or reading the Bible if you are, yeah. So everything you can do after working very hard. Okay, the next. Here, I would like to tell you one by one about the reader response strategy, describing and interpreting. So it is the indicator of describing. As I said before, that it is the aspects of old paradigm structuralism approach, and it is still used in describing in reader response strategy. How to describe the characters, the setting, plot, point of view, style, and theme. However, in describing, by using the reader response strategy, student or people can describe. So it is, you know that this reader response strategy will be done after reading. So it depends on you. Whether after reading novels, after watching film, you just forget it. You know, I got the value you said, okay. But if you are student, you are young generation, it's better for you. After reading, you continue to the next activity, to the new paradigm by using reader response strategy first. And the second one will be later. I will tell you later after this. So describing here, you describe the character and then you have to involve your emotion when you describe after reading a story, for example, you said that I like the story, I like the character because he is very good person, something like that. And you tell or you analyze or you respond about the setting. I love the setting. The setting is very blah 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 and so on and so forth. And then interpreting, it has something to do with the brain. Describing, interpreting have something to do with our mind, our brain. So in interpreting, you can see here that what should be interpreted, they are the character action and the essential words. So the character action you interpret, for example, why uh, the character uh, behave like that, for example. And in order to check our interpretation to the story read, we've choose one essential word. So every student in your class, for example, will choose different word and then they give reason why they choose that word. So it is interpretation. Something like this, it is the example of student after reading The Bucket Rider. Okay, so later you can read by yourself here. The next will be conceiving, understanding, and explaining. It is still, these two are still something to do with our brain, with the cognitive domain. So, conceiving, agree or disagree with the character action. And the explaining strategy, just explain the character action. So, you can see here, I just read one uh, yeah one appreciation from a student, in my opinion, okay, because it is about conceiving, understanding the behavior. In my opinion, there are several traits that appear in the main character, namely honesty, humanity, and responsibility. How under old paradigm structuralism approach, student also can find the character like honesty, humility, responsibility, but it is only on the surface. When we use the new paradigm, we are on the new paradigm, we tell these characters in depth. So, and so on and so forth. Later you can read. Yeah. So when, yeah, it is the way we sharpen our knowledge. It is the way we sharpen our brain, our heart. Okay, it is only sharpen our brain, yeah, because it has something to do with cognitive aspect. But later you can find the way how to sharpen our emotion, how to sharpen our affective aspect, our heart. So it is the way to. After reading, we can connect the contents of the story to our own experience, other storybooks, other films, social life, culture, even religion. It is connecting. And the second one, engaging. How, after reading a story, for example, you engage your feeling, your thought, and your imaginations happen to the character, and what if it happened to you? And the seventh strategy of reader response is judging. So we, after reading, we judge, we evaluate the plot, the author, the moral values also. So here is the example, something like uh, engaging feeling, thought, and imagination. So the students say, I can feel what the main character of the story feels as a cold bucket rider. I could even feel intense hunger because there was nothing to eat, blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. The student can say this because he have read the story. If he didn't read the story, he couldn't appreciate or respond the story by engaging the feeling, the thought, and imagination. So how about the connecting? So connecting, engaging, and judging have something to do with our affective aspects. So you can see here the way the student connect the contents of the story into their life, into their social life, into their religion. So in Muslim, yeah, in Muslim, uh, after reading the story, we try to find out whether we can find something like that in our holy Al Quran, and then we can find, for example, this one. So other student will find out another one. So you can see here that the story about the bucket rider have something to do with what is stated in the Quran. So the meaning of this ayat Al-Ma'idah, so and help one another in doing good things. Do not help anyone who are seen an enemy. Only worship to Allah, as Allah will punish severely. So it is, yeah. So we can also connect to our culture also, and it is judging. We judge. I think the story is very interesting. Blah 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 until the end. Yeah. Okay. So you know that some inquiries focus on reader response strategies in USA. For example, Hansen focused on engaging response to see the influence of that response to the reader emotion. Other something like Shed focus on engaging response, and Hun and Phypon focus on describing response, while Beach and Harsel focus on connecting response. Yeah, you can see here that to connect to their experience. And in Indonesia, the late Mr. Professor Mulyana, one of my literature lecturers when I took my study there, he focused on poetry in order to see the enhances of reader response, by using reader response strategy to enhance students' appreciation. And me, in some different studies, I use short story local short story and Western short stories. I use reader response strategy to develop the students' literary appreciation and language skills. Okay, it is about the reader response strategy. And the second strategy, we can use visual symbol response. It is from Alan Perf, and he divided into 4 dimensions. You can see here the dimension, graph, illustration, film or video, and performance art. Each dimension has different activity can be done by student. Something like you can see here, graph. There are sociogram, something to do with how uh, a character can be connected to another character by using an arrow, and it is we have to mention the relationship. For example, Romeo and Juliet, that novels, the films. So, for example, Romeo, and then using arrow, Juliet. So Romeo, and the word must be written here. We write loved, love Julia, and so on and so forth. It is sociogram in order to check the student understanding toward the story read. And main story map, okay, card, diagram, calligraphy, illustration, for example, poster like this, you know that? It is the poster of my students when they uh, created virtual drama performance, not on the stage, but on the Zoom meeting with the background of Canva. So you can see here that it is that is the truth but waits, and these two are local culture, local literature from my city. It is about Bagus Kuning, Ratu Bagus Kuning, the legend, or yeah, the legend, sorry, the story of Ratu Bagus Kuning, and the other one, it is about Ratu Sinuhun. So both are local culture. And the other poster, something like this, it is yeah, our research, and then we create it into a poster like this. So it is poster, yeah. So after reading a story, the student make a poster, make photo, and collage. Sorry, not college, collage. And then film and video, make the drama script, animation, film, special effect. So later I will show you the special effect. So this one, it is the podcast, podcast about paragraph, and the other one, podcast about literature in ELT. So they talk about the material on podcast, yeah. So this one also the podcast in our laboratory. This one another captures from the virtual drama performance. You can see here that, yeah, the weakness is that we cannot see the whole body of the characters, okay? Because it is the Zoom, something like what we have done today. So you can see here that by using different setting, yeah, to show where they are at the time. So something like here in the kingdom, it is in the city, different story, and it is in the we said that in the pesantren because the lady want to learn about the religion. And this one, the drama on the stage, and this one, what we call with storyboard. So after reading a story, the student recreate into another form of literature. So after reading, they also make the storyboard like this. And playing with literary works in the 21st century learning, the competencies, communication, collaboration, critical thinking, and creativity. You see that here, how creative the students, after reading information or news in internet, on TV, they try to create the news into a poem, into some poems because it's one school, one class. And after making the video, the poem, they can create into narrative text or short story by trying to find out the pictures in Canva application, something like that. And it is only some screenshot, some capture from around 20 pages of a short story like this. And this one, I said about the special effect. After reading a story, they make the special effect of Beowulf. You know Beowulf? It is the old story from England. Okay, Beowulf. So it is video around 2 minutes, and then I just capture this one. It is what we call with the spatial effect. And this one, you can see that in the 21st century era, when the students want to perform the drama, and it is still in the COVID-19, so they perform from home, and how creative they are. You can see here that the first student wear a crown by creating it from paper, similar to the other two as the Beowulf. Yeah, as Beowulf, yeah, the character, the main character, the man, my student, I mean Donnie, just wearing glasses. So how come um, a hero, Beowulf, as the hero, wearing glasses? Therefore, by using his creativity, he tried to make the mask like this, and then the glasses cannot be seen, right? Okay. So it is also the other one, the script. As I said before, that the virtual drama, sorry, not the virtual drama performance, that the uh, verbal, yeah, the verbal response, non-verbal response, like this. So the student, after reading a story about Beowulf, and then they try to make the script, the drama script like this. So because it is on the Zoom, so they have to find it out the way how to find the song and so on and so forth. And this one, the other one, using symbol responses to Bucket Rider. So if you click this one, you can see some video made by the student or my student and other student from Western people. And this one, the other visual symbol, pictures, yeah, after reading the Bucket Rider, after they responding by using read response strategy, they can also make the picture like this or like this. How small the what we said that the bucket, yeah, how small. So it is metaphor story. So we can imagine whether this, the pail or the bucket is not big, yeah. So how come a man like the bucket, like the rider, can sit like this? So it is just imagination. It is just the metaphor. And then this one, the tableau. Tableau is the other form of visual symbol response. After reading, for example, they have to make like a photo, but the photo tell in which part of the story they perform this. There is no motion, there is no talk at all, something like this. So it is after they read a short story written by not Ellen Perf, by Leo Tolstoy. God sees the truth but waits. So after reading, they make these kinds of
It's 12 hours.
kinds of tableau in order to show that they understood the story. Okay. Okay, now it is the conclusion. So I have told you the new paradigm, how to humanize our students, how to humanize people after reading such story. So it is the new paradigm applies the 7 reader response that can sharpen the brain, and also the other 3 strategy responses sharpen our affective aspects, okay, and then the psychomotor by having the action, make tableau, make performs. So at least after reading, they can stimulate the 3 domains: cognitive, affective, and the psychomotor. So the appreciation is digitally conducted by both in written and orally to reflect the sharpening of the reader's brain and heart, and in action for the enrichment of behavior by creating performance art such as dance, pantomime, and tableau. So most importantly, whatever the literary work is, the reading and watching stance must be aesthetic one. So it is able to humanize people. Again, I would like to remind you that whatever the short story, the film you read and watch, it depends on the way you apply, what stance you apply. Okay, if you want to get involved the story, you have to apply aesthetic stance, and then you can get anything. You can at least learn from the behavior of the characters, so at least we can gradually humanize ourselves before others. That's it from me. Thank you very much for your attention. So, you know that literature brings me to many countries. Here, some countries, Western people, and then this one, I also present some paper dealing with literature. And yeah, thank you very much for your attention. Yeah.
Ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. It has been very informative for us and also for our participant. Ma'am, it's time for our quiz session. After
Yeah.
completing the quiz session, we come back again in our question answer session. So you
Okay.
have to wait for few minutes.
Dear participant, it's time for our decision.
Dear participant, after the short video, we will start our quiz session. To join our quiz session, you have to log in www.slido.com. Then you have to enter the code IGP.
Share that. Share currently. Present alone.
अच्छा इसकी शेयर
Okay. Stream.
এটা শেষ হলে এটা একটা স্ট্রিম করে দিবে
এটা এমনিতে স্ট্রিমে হয়ে আছে।
আচ্ছা মানে অটো চলে আসবে
আচ্ছা আমরা অপশন ফোন করেছি।
we will start our quiz presentation after 5 minutes. We will pick your name from Slido, so join with your full name, which will be directly print on certificate. Top 10 will be awarded with quiz competition certificate. To join our quiz competition, you have to go www.slido.com and the code is IGP. Already 28 people join with us for quiz competition. To join our quiz competition, you have to go www.slido.com and the code is IGP. Already 32 people join with us. We will start our quiz competition after 2 minutes. Dear participant, we will go for our quiz competition just now. Here's the first question of our quiz competition. Literary work for humanizing people, assimilation, othering. Literally works for humanization people. Option 1, assimilation. Option 2, othering. The right answer is othering and 19 people is right here. In the leaderboard, Flomy is our topper. Question 2 is, our medicine people would call me a changing. Option 2, sir. And the right answer is option 2, sir. 42% people are right here. In our leaderboard, Hawkmark is our topper. Number 3, Canadian educational system for indigenous children, resident school, reform schools. The question is Canadian educational system for indigenous children, residential school, reform school. And the right answer is residential school. 50% people are right here. Okay, our fourth question, ST. Zeromis work to remove the dash the children. Option 1, Indian. Option 2, Liz. And the right answer is Indian. 56% people are right here. Okay. Our fifth question is from the Greek of emotion, passion, or suffering. Option 2, paralysis. Option 1, paralysis. Option 2, pathos. Okay. The right answer is pathos, and 72% people are right here. Okay, our sixth question is the humanizing characterization of often less sustained than that affected by personification. Option 1 pathos, option 2 pathetic fallacy. And the right answer is pathetic fallacy. 84% people are right here. Number 7 question is a term of refers a literary mood associated with shepherds and country living. Number 1 option is pastoral. Number 2 option is pastoral elegy. Okay. The right answer is pastoral and 38% people are right here. Our eighth question is a work that intimates another style or pieces together elements from a number of other work. Option 1 pastoral, option 2 pathetic. Number 2 option passages is right here. 94% people are right. Number 9 question is originally a classical Greek charcoal poem intent for performance at a public event. Option A parody, option 2 OD. Option 1 parody, option 2 OD. Okay. Option 2 OD is the right answer. 60% people right here. Okay, our last question for this quiz session. The extent of refer works that clock complexity and simplicity and precision associate values. Number 1 OD, number 2 pastoral. Okay. Option 2 pastoral is the right answer. 70% people are right here. ওনাকে তুলে দিতে হবে না? Congratulations, congratulations, top 10 today's quiz competition winner. We will all of you name which you enter during joining. We will pick prepare certificate and will post them in our official Facebook page. Our official Facebook page is Institute of Global Professional. After a short video, we will start our question answer session. Participants are requested to ask their question in our comment box. Let's enjoy our short video. ওনাকে বলে তুলতে পারো। আপনি আগে সবাইকে ওয়েলকাম করবেন। ওয়েলকাম করে আমাদের কোয়েশন আনসার করার জন্য এরপরে once again, welcome everyone, dear participant. If you have any question, you can ask in our comment box. Our speaker ma'am will answer them. Welcome back, ma'am. Question আসছে তো? Our first question from Flomi. Good afternoon, Dr. Rita. How does literature contribute values of human lives?
Okay. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Question from Chloe. Good question, I think. Over my voice, is it audible?
Your voice is not clear.
Can you hear
Your
my
voice
voice?
is not clear, ma'am.
Okay, good. Thank you. So yeah, it is good question from Chloe to how does literature
Ma'am,
contribute
your voice
to,
is not clear.
pardon?
Your voice is not clear, ma'am.
How about now? Is it clear? Hello? Is it clear now?
Yes,
Hello?
ma'am, clear. Sounds
Okay.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes the internet access. Okay, so yes, sure. Literature can contribute values of human life. I think like that. After reading a story, for example, after reading a literary work, okay, so we have to find it out. We have to dig up the literature, the literary works in order to find the character, good characters, good lesson, values from the story. And the values of the story can be found out. We can get the finding, we can get the values easily if we have applied a reader response strategy. Of course, literature is not only contribute, right? Not only contribute to our life, but literature itself is the meaning is the what we said that it is only the a picture of our life actually. Therefore, sometimes we see we read a literary works and then we can feel that what happened to the character is also happened to me as the reader. So the character of the story really influence our life. And sometimes by knowing, by digging up the character of the story, we can learn more. Okay, we can learn more, and it will influence our life. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Our second question is from Jordan Gio. Good day, ma'am. How can literature be a powerful tool in embracing social concern?
Yeah. Well, thank you, Jordan. Good question also. Good question and difficult to answer actually. So, from Jordan, yes, you know that literature, if we know the meaning of literature itself, it has something to do with beautiful, something interesting. It is literature. So it can be powerful for our life, yes, because we really learn. We really try to portray try to portray the values in the story. So yeah, to emphasize the societal concern, yes. After reading a story, for example, we can connect, okay, because it is reader response strategy, we can connect to our life, to other social life, to compare, okay? You can compare how about the social life in the literature and how about the social life in our own life, for example. So we can just compare. If it is good that you can get from the literature, it can also influence the society life also. Therefore, we have to know more about uh, the character of a story. We have to know, if we know exactly, and then we apply the reader response strategy, so we can get benefits of reading literature. Again, reading literature is not only for fun, it's not only to make us happy because happy ending so we are happy, or if it is sad ending so we also sad. Not only that, but it also to characterize gradually, yeah, gradually we can characterize, we can humanize ourselves first, because literature teaches good things for us. That's it, Jordan. Thank
Thank
you.
you, ma'am. Our next question is from Aaron Get. Good afternoon, ma'am. What is the difference between assisted reading and efferent reading?
Okay, Aaron. Yeah, perhaps yeah, you missed the presentation, but it's okay. The differences between afferent reading and aesthetic reading. Yes. Okay. This which one is better? Both are good. Okay, both are good. Something like that. Afferent reading. If you read literary works, if you read a novel, for example, but you apply afferent reading, you apply afferent stance. So what you get only the surface, only a little about the story. But if you read the literary works, the novels, by applying aesthetic reading, aesthetic stance, so you can get many things. Okay, why? Because you apply the seven reader response strategy, from describing and then you explain, you connect, you engage, and then you evaluate the story. So you use aesthetic. So aesthetic reading here, it is in-depth reading for reading literature. Afferent reading can be used if you only want to find out information directly. So it is afferent reading. Therefore, again, I would like to remind everybody here, if you read short story, if you read literary work, please apply the aesthetic stance in order that you get something beautiful, important, uh, and nice for our life. That's it. Aaron, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next question mm, is from Cuny Rose. Good day, ma'am. What does it mean to humanize ourselves?
Yeah, good question. How to humanize ourselves? Yes. So one of my book, yeah, it is for junior high school student. I make the title is Humanize Ourselves. Yeah. So you know that in order to ask other people to behave well, to characterize, to have good character, we must be the model. We must be the role model. So before we ask others, we ask our friends, our students to behave well. So we as the lecturers or the teacher or the manager of a company, for example, to behave well, to humanize ourselves first. And then if we have been good, but we are not perfect, right? We are only human beings, so no one is perfect. But if we have been have characterized ourselves, have humanized ourselves, why not later we can uh, ask others to do the same thing like what we have done. That's it, Queenie. Thank you for your question.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. There is no more question. We complete our questions session also. On behalf of IGP, thank you so much, ma'am. It was very wonderful session. I hope everyone learned from your presentation. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Now it's time to give you our webinar code. Thank you so much for everyone for active participants. Today's our program name is Literally Works for Humanizing People and the code is IGP6600. Today's our program name is Literally Works for Humanizing People and the code is IGP 6600. Without code, no one is eligible for certificates. With code, you can claim your certificates anytime. I hope everyone learned from our webinar. See you again in our next session. Till then, stay happy. Once again, I am Badhandas from Bangladesh.